What is up, NFL fans? It's your boy Kevin Phillip Fox here with another episode of the Legit Football NFL podcast. It's Friday, so you already know I'm not doing it alone. I got my partner from down under, Mr. Adrian Ravito, coming all the way from Australia. How the hell are you, Mr. Ravito?
I am fantastic. We've talked about this before. Yeah, it's such a good song, isn't it?
It's a
We've
banger.
talked about this before, but I noticed because obviously when we're talking in the pre-show, we're both on screen, so I can't see your camera's big, but I can see the Mario and Luigi in the background there on your. And it's
There's
just I love your fandom. It is
Oh,
awesome.
dude, I'm very dedicated, man. If you saw my studio, bro, you would just see bills and video games. That's my whole shebang, bro.
What else is there really? What else is there?
Honestly, I think you might be right.
I hope
So
your missus doesn't listen to this show, but that's okay. Whatever.
yeah. So the Legit Football NFL podcast has turned into the weekly therapy hour because Adrian and I's teams are both underperforming
Oh yeah.
relative to expectations. For me, it's I'd say a little worse because the Bills were supposed to be Super Bowl contenders and they're kind of sort of fighting for their playoff lives right now. And
You-
meanwhile,
I don't know, but look, I hear, and we're gonna get to some Super Bowl predictions coming up shortly, but small teaser. But I don't know. I think that the Bills are still showing signs that they're still the Bills. And you know what? I will say this, and I'll say this about the Ravens, and I'm not gonna try and victory lap, like walk back the victory lap they get. But you don't want to get too hot too early.
yeah,
You know what
you're
I mean?
right.
You want to get hot at the right time.
You're definitely right. I'm picking up what you're putting down, brother. So, we got a really fun show for you. My favorite parts of these shows is obviously the episode, the game previews because we get to call our shot, we get to make our predictions. But there's always some fun stuff at the top, starting with my boy CJ Stroud of my pseudo favorite team, Houston Texans, setting the rookie record for single game passing yards versus the Buccaneers. Adrian, it was a back and forth affair. We had running backs kicking field goals. We had former number 1 overall picks dueling number 2 overall picks. What's your biggest takeaway from this game?
This is just an awesome game. It's just like it was not the game we expected it to be, right? Like, I mean, I think if we talk about CJ Stroud to start with, I mean, he's having a historic year and he's your boy.
Oh yeah,
I think it's fair to say, we called out Nico Collins being a really star receiver and
yeah.
having a bigger role this year. We talked about Tank Dell, but I think like you could call Nico Collins a legit number one. Like he's got
Yeah,
that in him for
he
sure.
does.
Tank Dell's absolutely balling out. He's setting some. He's on pace for the same as Hopkins' rookie year. I think it wasn't Hopkins kind of
Wow.
tweeted out he was going to be special. And
Yeah.
you know, to me, the takeaway from this is that it was good to see the Bucks humming again. I love me some Bucks. So I'm not gonna talk them down.
Yeah.
But the takeaway here, realistically, is that CJ Stroud is probably just like I read this somewhere and I think it is stupidly accurate. He's the biggest steal of the draft at number 2.
Oh yeah.
He should have
Absolutely.
been number 1. He
Yeah.
was number 1 leading into it, and and then take that as 2 tests. That's what happened.
Yeah. Absolutely ridiculous. And the quote that will live in infamy forever is I am a football player, not a test taker. CJ Stroud said that himself after sliding down draft boards all the way down to number 2. He's a wonderful player. The Texans are a wonderfully run organization. Their personnel moves and their decision making over the offseason caught my eye. I will victory lap that until the day I die. I forecasted this.
Yes, you did. You saw it coming.
I have to shout it out. Next up in the early portion of the show, we have our updated Super Bowl predictions. We're allowed to back out of our predictions that we made prior to the season. Adrian, do you by any chance have those on file?
I I don't know. I remember mine, but I don't.
I remember mine. I think I remember picking
You put
Eagles
the Bills in there,
versus
didn't you?
no, you did.
I definitely did.
I
Yeah.
picked Eagles versus Bengals, and I believe I predicted the Bengals to win.
And I think and I gotta say, I think that's looking pretty good. Are you staying with that, or are you backing out?
I think I might as well just stay with it. I mean, I'm a hold the bag kind of guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll hold the bag.
Yeah, I love it. Look, I think, it's a fair call. Burrow is proving that we were worried about Burrow at the start of the season, and he's kind of proved it was just health, and that was it. And
Yeah.
that's fair, right? You know what's weird? I'm sticking with Bills 49ers, and,
Oh, let's
and
go.
let me tell you why.
That's music to my ears. Please tell me why. You
So,
maniac. What's
let
up,
me start.
Armand? Armand in the chat. We got to give a special shout out to our boy Armand. We love
What's up,
this guy.
man?
Doesn't miss a show. Happy to have
So
you.
awesome. I'm sticking with them. I'll tell you what. I think the Bills, all right, they're underperforming. I agree with that. But let's take my situation for example. When you watch the Packers, they're underperforming, and when they win, it's like it's a surprise, right? Because you'll see little glimmers of something good just sandwiched in with bad. Whereas the Bills will play good for 2.5, 3 quarters. They'll absolutely show like they can win that game. They show like they can be the better team. Even against the Bengals, I know they didn't finish strong, but they came out really hot, and I was like,
They
this.
did.
I thought this was going to be game of the year
Me
at the first
too.
three possessions.
Yeah.
So I think Josh Allen is still doing Josh Allen things. Sure, he needs to be a little bit smarter. They're getting back to him running probably too much. I'm ranting. I just think the
It's
Bills.
true.
I trust their coaching. I trust them to adjust. I trust them to get right. And I don't see regression. I just see mistakes. And let's face it, football sometimes a bit of luck. I see some bad luck as well.
I am so happy to hear you say that because it just tells me that you don't just read what you see in headlines, man. Adrian Revito reads between the lines, ladies and gentlemen,
Man of
because
analysis.
I watch every snap, and I can't tell you how frustrating it is to be a Bills fan this season. It feels very much like, I was talking to Pro Football Demon last night after the fantasy Q&A show because I got ragdolled for an hour and 10 minutes about the Bills, about Josh Allen,
Ouch.
just in general. And I kind of just told him after, I was like, hey, man, everybody's talking about, the Bills get a trophy because they almost beat Patrick Mahomes 2 years ago in the playoffs. And it's like that year that they get the trophy for that everybody thinks was their peak and their best year that they ever had. They were 7-6 that year and out of the playoff picture after 13 games. They lost in overtime to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and were out of the playoff picture and had to run the table to win the division. They were in second place, and so there's all this talk about this season, and there's all this talk about they're in a better position this year than they were the year that people give them the fake trophy for. It's
100%. Yeah.
football ebbs and flows. Football is a week to week thing, and people they want it to be put together with this beautiful bow, and they want it to feel good, but it doesn't feel good. No Super Bowl team has ever not faced adversity. It's never happened.
Correct. So I think the Bills are still. I'm still putting my money on them. I trust their coaching to get them right, and I trust them to get hot at the right time. I think some of the other contenders, if you will, like I think the Dolphins are sneaky. Not even sneaky. Everyone's kind of talking about it. I shouldn't say it's sneaky. When they play good teams, they're
You think they're
losing.
pretenders?
I don't have to look. I don't know if they're pretenders, but if they're losing to good teams, you can't run the playoffs. You
Yeah.
can't run. You might win one. You might want to win two, but you're not going to win out in the
Yeah, it's
playoffs.
fair.
Yeah.
It's fair.
The Chiefs are always going to be the Chiefs, but I do think it's fair to say that offense, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people's offense beats defense eventually. Like
Yeah.
overall, defense can absolutely win you championships, but you need the offense.
Yeah, they're
And
starting to look kind of average on offense.
yeah. And to that same point, I think the 49ers have the coaching structure and they absolutely have the pieces. I still think Brock Purdy is the same dude. I don't know anyone who says he's regressed is just not watching the games. Sure, he's
Yeah.
he's made some mistakes, absolutely, but he still throws a beautiful ball. He's smart. So
Yeah,
all
I
of this
agree.
is to ramble to say, in fact, how's this? I'm going to banner cue myself out of this. All this is to say I'm sticking with my Bills 49ers prediction.
I love it. It's a beautiful thing. Now let's breeze through this Thursday Night Football recap because it might
Can we
as
do
well
a
be called.
dynamite recap?
I was gonna say it might as well be called the Thursday Night Football recrap.
Yeah, we should brand that.
It was so horrible. I had some fun because I had some parlays going, as you know, degenerate gambler. But it
Always.
was a horrible game.
Hold on. There we go.
There we go. Thank you. Beautiful, beautiful. We got the Panthers have Bryce Young, who was supposed to be the special guy. I'm not saying he's not special.
Can we ask the question though? We can ask the question,
I don't
right?
think so because we asked the question with Trevor Lawrence and we all looked stupid after.
So you think we can't ask the question?
I think let's just hold water. Let's just take a deep breath. But yeah, we're not seeing the signs right now. And then meanwhile, the Bears are over there, who already have the Panthers pick, who really got a king's ransom. They are very potentially going to have the number 1 overall pick in the draft and probably another top 10 selection.
42% chance at this point by winning.
That is so crazy. So, for me, I'm very much of the mindset that I do think the Justin Fields conversation gets a lot hotter in the Caleb Williams, Drake May class.
Absolutely.
And I do think that that's probably the biggest storyline for this dumpster fire of a game. Deontay Foreman had some good runs.
Yeah, I mean, look, he did, but his yards per carry was rubbish. I mean, he was absolutely the star of the
It
show.
was
If you
rubbish.
want to, yeah,
Yeah.
he was the star of the show, but the show was like your 3-year-old's like retelling of Shakespeare, but with
Oh,
terrible line. Yeah,
that
that's
might
what the show
be.
was.
I think that might be mildly enjoyable.
Yeah, but accurate to this game.
You know
So
what? Good call.
Panthers at Bears, mildly enjoyable. That's just the tagline.
Yep.
I think Donta Foreman was probably he had his only offensive touchdown. I think Bryce Young, we've got to ask these questions, but I will hold on your advice because I do agree Trevor Lawrence had that same issue. I will say this: Eddie Pinheiro having a rough go of it, misses a 59-yarder. Now it's not that's the rough go of it, but you can't fall short of the 6, mate. You're a kicker in the NFL. I understand 59 yards is a long kick, but
That was
at
tough.
least put something behind it and put it off to the side.
That was hard to watch a little bit, and especially if you're watching the broadcast view. I don't know about you, but I jumped up because I was ready for overtime. I was like, "Let's go!" And then they were like, "He's short," and I looked at the angle. It didn't even get to the. It looked good. It was accurate.
I have one more take from this game. It's against
Yeah.
you.
Uh-oh.
Miles Sanders.
Yeah.
Where's the Miles Sanders truther? 2 attempts, -5.
Yeah.
Let's
I don't know what you're
accept he's
talking
not
about.
special.
I don't know any Miles
you forgot
Sanders
it.
truthers. Yeah, no.
I should have. If I wasn't so busy this week, there'd be a flashback coming. Let me
I
tell
will
you.
be completely honest with you. I think Miles Sanders is not healthy. And I hope he gets healthy because this is not fun to watch. I also don't find Chuba Hubbard to be particularly special, and I'm kind of irritated that like he's the savior of that franchise according to that franchise. I think it's silly. I've watched him for years, and I've always seen him an average player.
Yeah. You know what? I'll say this for the Panthers because sometimes you get a number 1 pick into a situation where it's like, okay, they could do something with this. And like a good example of this, I would say, is someone like Joe Burrow. Now, obviously, he's special, but he moved in, they got in pieces, and they really kind of worked towards a vision and they had good coaching. And I love Frank Reich as well, but I don't know, this feels like a kind of team that could ruin Bryce Young.
It's possible he could get like Darnold or Rosen. Yeah, he could just
absolutely.
get bad situation, bad vibes, bad habits. Boom, he's a bad quarterback. Does happen.
It does. So that was a terrible game, and I hope everyone enjoyed our recap.
Yeah, that's the recap of the week, and it's going to be that on Thursday Night Football more often than not. Adrian, are you ready to get into our patented Week 10 preview? This is sort of the Legit Football podcast bread and butter these days. Adrian and I go game for game, do direct score predictions, give a little gloss over of the main storylines, what we're watching for. So without further ado, Adrian, who's kicking us off?
This one's actually you've got because exposed the bathrobe here. Jimmy unfortunately couldn't make it.
We lost Jimmy. Tragic.
So we're going to be divvying out his games. So you've got 2 in a row, my friend.
Perfect.
Welcome to Australian Slang, the Adrian Rovito story.
That's one of my favorites. All right. So Colts at Patriots. Patriots are 1.5-point dogs at home. Not ideal for that franchise. Over under 43 points. Who would have seen Bill Belichick still coaching this team to being 1.5-point underdogs to a backup quarterback at home? It's ugly. I think Mac Jones is playing out the string. I don't have much faith in him. I don't have much faith in them to stick with him. He might end up being a backup next year, or even, dare I say, off the team, traded somewhere. As for the Colts, I like the spunkiness and the pluckiness of Gardner Minshew. He's kind of a gamer. I don't think the Colts are dead in the water just yet. I think they might have an end of season run in them. Jonathan Taylor is a great player. Michael Pittman's a great player. Devastated that Josh Downs went down in that game. He hasn't come back. The rumor has it that he won't be playing this week, which really sucks because he's such a fun and exciting player. Age, why don't you vet that while I do my score prediction? Find out if Downs is playing or not, because that kind of will, I think, affect my prediction a little bit. But I do think that I foresee the Colts winning this game on the road. I foresee a not fun to watch game. Definite could have been contender for a dynamite game. But I think I will predict the Colts to beat the Patriots 26-17, Adrian.
Yeah, and I think, look, the Colts have got a pretty terrible offensive line. Although fortunately the Patriots have zero pass rush at this point. In fact, and I could be wrong on this. No, I'm not wrong on this. They have the worst ranked pass rush in the league. So I think you're right. I think the Colts roll here. I do like Minshew is a bit plucky, isn't he? And I think he keeps him like, look, it's good. He keeps him in contention. But I don't think that, I think the tough thing is they're not a Super Bowl team, right? So you kind of almost don't, like if I'm Jimmy, I almost don't want them to do well. I want a better pick. I want something for Richardson when he comes back and then make my run next year. But it is what it is. So I will say 21-6, and I am going to say this, and I'm going to stand by it. Belichick's on the hot seat.
What is the chances he gets fired?
If they lose this 21-6, I think it gets hotter. I think he lasts out the year, and I think they get rid of him mid-year. But I think that by next year he will not be the coach.
They gotta let him resign. He's done too much.
Maybe
they gotta let him resign.
What was your score? Sorry, 24 to 16?
26-17.
26 to 17. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, look, I don't love. Honestly, there's some games you're excited, and there's some great games this week. This is probably not one of them, if I'm being honest. But one that I am excited for that you are talking about, which I should have absolutely stolen when I was divvying these out.
I'll let you steal it right now, brother. I'll let you steal it right now.
I'll take it away. All right.
Take it.
Yeah. Let's, and we can back and forth on this, but I think I really, really am digging both of these teams at the moment. The Browns playing an ugly brand of football. It's all defense. But I still love to watch it. It's just one of those, I don't always like watching defensive games, and most people don't. But I think the Browns, I just want, like, if you're watching this game, just watch Myles Garrett every snap. Just watch him. He's a game-wrecking player. I say it every week. Defensive Player of the Year. My son making his characteristic entry into the podcast. Can you hear? I think so. But that's okay. And I think Lamar Jackson is, I would put him in argument for number 2 or 3. Hold on a second. Sorry, listeners.
Okay. I brought out the big mic because I was like, okay, I can do that.
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. This one sounds better.
Does it?
Yeah, you can rock with this. You can rock with this rest of the show. It sounds good.
All right, cool. I'll stick with it. So I think, look, Lamar Jackson is probably making his case for top 3 at the moment, top 2, top 3.
I would say so. I would say so.
And as a passer, so I think sometimes they shoot themselves in the foot. I think they need to really tighten up. I think next year, if he continues the way they've given him this contract, go out and get a receiver who can hold on to the ball properly. So I think this is going to be a big game. It's really going to, the Ravens and the Bengals AFC North race is probably going to be the closest division race that we have. So I think the Ravens take this. I think it's going to be 27-24 in a very close game. I believe Deshaun Watson is playing.
So you have Ravens over Browns 27-24?
Yeah.
I think I agree. I see a very low over-under here, and I'm not surprised. I kind of thought that this game had ugly slugfest written all over it. Both teams run the ball well. Both teams play great defense. I personally think the Ravens are going to win the game because I think they're the better team, but the Browns will be competitive. I'm just going with the quarterback here. I just think Lamar Jackson greater than signed Deshaun Watson.
Absolutely.
At a game that's going to end in a score of 19-13.
Done. Yeah, and confirmed Lamar Jackson is not on their injury report. Sorry, Deshaun Watson not on their injury report.
Good for both of them.
All right. We
All
good?
Right. Yes, sir. Who's next?
Homer Hill, baby.
Oh, let's go. Homer Hill.
Now, last week I had sad music. Now I get the uplifting because we got to win here. Not going to be terrible here.
When you're talking at the same time as the music, I can't hear you. There you go.
All right. Both offensive lines absolutely suck. So Alex Highsmith, TJ Watt are going to feast on Jordan Love here, but Rashawn Gary is going to do the same. And I think Kenny Pickett really does not have to do a whole lot here. Kenny Pickett, can we say that he's not special and we can say he's a game manager? That's fair?
Yeah,
or do we think there's still flashes? Yeah.
No,
and I think that's
really.
all he really needs to do is protect the ball, not turn it over. They absolutely have to go via the run here. Najee Harris needs to be the man to take this game home if the Steelers want to win, because the Packers can't stop the run. And they haven't been able to for 3 years. It's kind of one of the reasons Joe Barry's head is being called for, because at some point, all right, we can turn the uplifting music off. At some point, you've got to be like, if you can't stop the run in 1 year, you need to make adjustments and stop it the next year. Okay, you can't do it again, make adjustments, stop it the next year. And then at that point, it's like, all right, bye. So I think this will be a low-scoring game. The Packers looked better against the Rams. Now it's easy to say, okay, there was Brett Ripien, which it was. You only put up 20 points, but the Rams defense looked great, and anyone who watched
Yep.
that game knows that Aaron Donald was really giving him trouble, and he still made some really good choices, some really smart moves. So he also made his telltale terrible decisions, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Protected the ball. So I think the Packers win this, and I think if they win this, now this is dangerous because I picked against them last week and they won, and now I'm going to pick them again. But if they win this, out of the next 6 games, 4 of them are this game: Steelers, Chargers, Giants, Bucks.
Oh,
If
wow.
if you can win those 4, you can theoretically put yourself back into the playoff race. They also have the Chiefs
Especially,
and Lions.
yeah, especially with the Vikings falling off.
Yeah.
It's very,
Well,
very
I don't know if
possible.
do you think they're gonna fall off? We'll get to
I
that.
do think they're gonna fall off eventually. Yeah, we'll get to that. But good pick on the Packers, man. I do. So you're picking them to win?
I'm gonna pick them to win. I think actually I'm gonna pick them. I'm gonna pick a slightly more interesting game. Let's say 31
Holy
to
crap.
yeah. I'm gonna because sometimes Jordan Love will pull it out. So
Okay.
let's just say 31, and I think the Steelers are gonna struggle to pass. So let's say 24.
31 to
31-24 Packers way.
24 Packers. Okay. Wow, that's a homer pick if I've ever seen it. But I'm not mad at you.
Absolutely is.
Oh, I totally understand. I respect it. I love my my Homer's picks. I don't hate your Packers, man. Yeah, I mean, I definitely thought even with a backup, the Rams could take care of you guys, and Brett Rippon just turned out to be one of the worst quarterbacks in NFL history.
Yeah.
So nice, good on you. I do think you guys are better than you've shown. I do think you guys will be plucky in this game. I just think the Steelers' defense is too overwhelming, and the Steelers have a nice running game. Najee's coming on a little bit, not exactly. I wouldn't say he's good, but he's better. And
He's
Jalen
improved, that's
Warren,
for sure.
Jalen Warren's a stud. So I think I'm projecting still a low-scoring game, but I think it'll be close. I'm projecting that the Steelers win this game. I'll say 24-21.
There's a lot of low over-unders, and there is the biggest line that I've seen in a game in a long while coming up soon.
Let's go.
Alrighty. This 49ers Jaguars, I believe, is this mine? Am I gone crazy here?
I don't know. Don't worry about it.
Are the 49ers and Jaguars? You know what? Let's jump to Saints and Vikings. I'll look that up. This is on me.
Perfect.
So Vikings at Saints. So let's talk about
Yeah.
Josh friggin' Dobbs.
Legend.
Seriously. To anyone who doesn't know, Jaron Hall was playing actually not bad, went out. Josh Dobbs comes in, doesn't know the plays. He's got Kevin O'Connell describing them to him in the headset while the clock is ticking. And that he just comes out and balls out. If you watch the video of him walking into the locker room, it was awesome. He's going to look, he set the bar high, and Josh Dobbs sort of does this from time to time. There's that focus.
Yep. It's coming. Here we go.
And also I think Brian Flores is just doing so much with so little on the
He
defense.
really is. That defense
Honestly.
is very legit.
Like I would say Jim Schwartz, I said him for coordinator of the year, but if I'm talking about making something out of nothing, Brian Flores has to be in that discussion. And he has to be in a head
100%.
coach discussion again.
Yeah.
Cam Akers is out for this game, so Madison's really going to have to step up if the Vikings want a chance. And the Saints defense, as I mentioned every week, their pass defense is airtight. So I think to the Saints, it's kind of like Derek Carr, like, all right, mate, you can beat the Bears, you can beat the Colts without Richardson. Can you take on, I would say, a frisky team? I think the Vikings are frisky. I actually don't think they're going to regress. I think they're still in the race. Yeah, I'm taking it you disagree with that, but
I do.
Yeah, tell me why.
I like Josh Dobbs a lot. I just think Kirk Cousins is, a borderline top half quarterback. He's a top 11 to 16 quarterback. I don't think Josh Dobbs is that. I think he's very, very frisky, very, very plucky. Awesome story. I want to root for him. I think putting it together consistently over 4 quarters, over multiple weeks in a row, has proven to be difficult for him. We saw him be frisky in Arizona, and he kind of had fallen off pretty significantly at various different points. So, I see the Vikings as a tier lower, possibly 2 tiers lower than I saw them before. They're on somewhat fragile ground. despite loving what Flores is doing, loving the personnel, loving the grit and the fight of the team, I don't foresee them winning games that are coin flips, and I foresee this game as a coin flip game. Saints 3-point favorites on the road. I'll go ahead and just spoil my prediction. I'm going to go in this game. I'm going to go Saints 27, Vikings 16.
16-27. I am going to take a similar score in the Vikings. I'll give them 19, and I think the Saints lose this 19-16. It is a stinker.
So you think Vikings win?
Yep.
Upset special.
Love it. So this is Scab producing. Expose the bathrobe. We don't have anyone playing for 49ers Jaguars, so let's just roll with it. We know we build the plane as we fly it.
Yeah, let's just roll with it, baby. I'll happily jump in on this one. 49ers, formerly 5-0, formerly NFL's darling, formerly best team in the league, now on a 3-game skid, facing another great team. Let's be real. This is not going to be easy by any stretch. The Jaguars they went from being plucky when they were losing games early in the season and beating teams that people thought they shouldn't to now being a juggernaut. They're one of the better teams in the NFL. Their defense is emerging as one of the best units in the league. Trevor Lawrence is winning games. He's a bit game manager-y this year, which is, so it's fine. He's not the gunslinger we hoped for, mostly because he doesn't need to be. And that's fine. Calvin Ridley's been a bit of a disappointment, but Christian Kirk's been every bit as good as we thought he would be. Meanwhile, Evan Ingram and Travis Etienne are just doing what they do. They're just holding it down. I kind of like the 49ers in this spot to just have a huge comeback game. I think Kyle Shanahan coming off of a bye is usually a pretty dominant force. So I think I'm going to go with the 49ers winning this game in pretty stifling fashion. I'm going to say 49ers win this game 31-20.
I love all of that, and I think the 49ers are going to come. I think they're going to take this one away. It is sad. We kind of wanted the Trevor Lawrence MVP campaign. So, this will be an exciting game, and I shouldn't have taken it off I should have missed it because I really am impressed with how the Jags have been going. And I think this 3+3 Jags underdog is kind of a bit disrespectful. You got them on a 5-game win streak, 49ers on a 3-game losing streak, but I will take the 49ers to just cover that 3, and let's say 27-23.
I like it. I
That's
absolutely like it. All right,
Alrighty.
Age. What do we got next?
This is your boys versus people you hate.
I do secretly hate the Bengals. I have to pretend like I don't as a professional, but I do secretly hate them. Texans, my boys, CJ Stroud. He is balling out something fierce. Devin Singletary is a non-factor this year, but it doesn't matter. I absolutely am enamored with the Texans' passing attack. Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz, Nico Collins, Noah Brown, Robert Woods, John Mechie. There's so much talent, and I think that they will be a lot for the Bengals to handle. However, Lou Anarumo has not died in the past, week. So as far as I know, they're still going to have those exotic personnel packages. They're still going to have their crazy Bengals, defensive charms that they have. Joe Burrow is out there. He's probably going to carve the Texans up a little bit. I don't love the spread. I don't think the Bengals should be 7-point favorites. I think the Texans have earned a little bit more respect than that. And I think they'll show that. I like a shootout here, and I like an exciting game. I'm going to go with Bengals winning this one 31-27.
31-27. If you had to guess who had the higher ranked pass attack, what would you say?
I feel like this is a trick question, so I would say the Texans. Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to take a guess at where they're at?
4th.
Nailed it.
Let's go. Come on.
And the Bengals are 13th, which kind of surprises me.
Joe Burrow missed the first, he wasn't himself the first 6 weeks of the season.
And that's fair. That's fair. So you have to take that into account. I agree with you though. I agree with you. I think that that the Texans deserve more than 7. I think that's a little bit disrespectful. I reckon the Texans offensive line, look, the Bengals don't have a great great run defense. So I think you're going to have to go via the run here a little bit, even though the Texans don't have an amazing rushing game. You might need to stretch this game out because if you give Joe Burrow X amount of drives, he's always going to put points on the board. You said the Bengals to take this 31-27, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good score. That's a good score.
You can, hey,
I
you
don't
can
want.
double down. You can,
Yeah,
you
I'm gonna
yeah,
copy you on this one if
a
that's
little
okay.
party, over
Yeah,
in the 3127 club.
we've had a couple of disagreements so far today already. It's nice to be on the same page
Not
on
at all here. Almost
Mhm.
exactly the same opinion.
Yeah. All
All
right,
right. Is
let's
this
move it
you?
on.
Your boy?
This is
Let's
my boy
go.
Baker Mayfield back in the mix.
Back in
They
the
look
mix.
they look they look great. Hang on, wait. Let me see if I can time this out right.
I got bad news for
Good.
you, mate.
Damn it didn't work.
Not bad. Not bad. Good effort. E plus.
I've got great news for you Bucks fans. Baker Mayfield is the man. No, he looked great again. Their offense was humming. They didn't look. They got very very unlucky. What are the Texans? That is what 40 seconds, no timeouts to go 75 yards, and they get there just not expected at all. There's a kind of mismatches all over the place here. The Titans are great against the run, but the Bucks can't run, so it doesn't really matter. So they're gonna have to. They really don't have much of a pass rush, and that's kind of how you make Baker Mayfield uncomfortable. You get him out of the pocket, you get him nervous. Last week against the Texans, no interceptions, 2 TDs. He went 21 for 30, and he spread the ball out. So I think the Bucks are going to be fairly comfortable here. The Titans, look, I love me some Will Levis. But I do think Todd Bowles loves to blitz. I think he's going to make Will Levis very uncomfortable. And I don't think that's a commentary on Will Levis because he's still got work to do and he's definitely outperformed his expectations. But I think the Bucks roll here. I think it's going to be a 26-14 game.
Love the score. Yeah,
That's a weird score, isn't it? 26-14.
it is very weird.
Is a weird score.
I think the Bucks have the personnel to get Levis off his spot. I think the Bucks have the personnel to make him a little uncomfortable. I think Joe Tryon, Shoyinka will get in there. Vita Vea is always effective. I think I'll probably go with the Buccaneers as well, winning this game, just based on the rookie QB effect. But I think Levis will get something going. I just think he might make enough mistakes that the Buccaneers win the game pretty decidedly. So I'll go with Buccaneers winning this game 23-16.
Love it.
Yes, sir.
Alrighty, let's do it. We're killing this, by the way. Can I say, I don't want to call our shot because whenever I do this, we don't do it. But I think we're fitting a tight 60 here.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I think more. I think tighter.
Love it.
Me?
Let's roll. This is you.
Lions and Chargers with the ultimate Justin Fraudbert at QB. Just kidding. Absolutely kidding. He had a great game last week. I need
to find something for that.
I don't think he's a top 5 player. I don't think he's a top 5 QB, but I don't think he's far off. Top 8 or 9. Hey, Adrian,
I don't think you couldn't call him top. You couldn't call him top 5 at the moment. That's for
you're
sure.
Starting a franchise tomorrow. Just a quick little thought exercise. Who you take, Herbert or Allen?
So it has to be one of them two?
Yeah. The fact you're thinking about it this much is bothering me.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. Look, I will take. Nah, I actually don't know the answer to that.
Hey, I still love you, but you're being a fool.
Yeah, part of me. See, every logical part of your body says you want to go Bills. You want to go Allen, sorry, because he's put it on the tape and he's performed in the playoffs, and he had probably one of the greatest playoff performances of all time when they went back and forth with the Chiefs.
And also the game before when he hung 47 on Belichick's defense.
Yeah, absolutely. But wouldn't you want to be like? I mean, I just want to know what's Herbert like without Brandon Staley, and he passes the eye test.
Do you want to know what he's like without Brandon Staley? Josh Allen.
Yeah. Okay. Let's look. I know your answer here. So let's say Josh Allen.
It's easy. I asked you because I thought you were going to help me prove a point, but you didn't.
I'm sorry for that.
The Pro Football Demon on last night's show was saying that he didn't know. Oh, here we go. My man. I love Takedo Luna. He's always backing me up in the chat on the Fantasy Q&A show. I love Takedo Luna. He's back for more. Hey, so listen, this game's going to be really fun. I do think the Lions are going to take it pretty handily. They've shown more defensively than the Chargers have shown. They've shown more creativity on offense. Ben Johnson is an absolute stud. I think look for Amon-Ra to get going in a big way.
What's he looking like? He hasn't been the Amon-Ra we're expecting, right?
He hasn't been super dominant, but he hasn't been particularly bad by any stretch.
You know what? I can't say that. He's got 5 games of the last 7 over 100 yards. Like, look, he is still.
Yeah, he's just not. He hasn't been as crazy as he was last year, but he's been
Yeah.
very good. So I'll go with Lions in this game pretty decidedly here. I think I'm gonna go with Lions 34, Chargers. I'll say 34 to. They're gonna score points. I'll say 34 to 24.
Okay, that's an exciting game. I think
Yeah.
the Lions line is really going to bully the Chargers here, and I don't think the defense is going to put up much against them because Brandon Staley's defense, even though they're starting to get going, and you know, Bosa's starting to look like Bosa, Khalil Mack is starting to look like Khalil Mack, and that's nice. But I do think that the Lions line can hold up. I really don't want to predict the Lions to win, and that's because I don't want them to win. But I feel like they're gonna. I don't think it'll be that high flying. So let's say
They're gonna win.
24 to 21.
Oh, you're
Close
going lower flying.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of fly. I don't think it's. I think the Lions are absolutely going to put up points, but I do think we saw Jahmyr Gibbs break out last week. I think they're going to go a lot on the run game, and I think it's going to be long, slow drives, and they're really going to wear the Chargers down.
I love it, sir. We got Armand in the chat. You can't go wrong with Herbert or Allen. He's right. Staley is definitely a wart stuck on Herbert for sure. Takedo's prediction 31-17 Lions. So we're chalk on Lions. We're consensus on Lions here. And I think we're right to do that. I will not hold all of your Herbert takes against you. I still love you all. Go ahead, Adrian.
It may come back to bite. I think, and you know what? Actually, I have to say this. I have to apologize. So Kevin knows that there's some stuff going on at home at the moment with our house. That sounds terrible. The family's all great. Stuff going on at the house. So I haven't spent as much time being as neurotically prepared for this podcast as I would always do. So all this is to say, I didn't prepare this as a Dynamite game, but I am nominating it.
Oh yeah, please strap it up.
Anyone you feel like taking?
In this game or
as in, would you do 30 on Falcons or you want Cardinals?
I think I'll take my 30 on the. I think I'll take the Falcons.
All right, hold on a sec.
Because I got a lot to say.
You can take it first then.
All right, thank you. Arthur Smith is the biggest piece of crap in the NFL. I will not be at all happy when he loses his job, but I won't particularly be sad either. Jet sweeps on the goal line to Jonnu Smith, and you blow that game for that very reason, sir. Losing to a backup QB who had 3 days to prepare and didn't know his receiver's name is exactly what you deserve. Hashtag free Bijan Robinson. My prediction, I'm giving the Falcons a disgusting gross win 22-17.
All right, so we've got Kyler Murray back. His 8-game audition is starting today to whether he's going to be their quarterback next year or whether it's going to be someone like a Drake May, like Caleb Williams. So the Cardinals are disgusting. They're ranked 32 in pass. They're ranked 29th in receptions. Their rushing attack is okay, but James Conner, who is now magically getting better, that Kyler Murray is coming back, was the reason for that. So I think that you traded away the best QB you had, and Kyler Murray is not going to deliver. I also give the Falcons a disgusting win, but I think it's 16-13. It's a terrible game.
No pieces. I'm not allowing it. The pieces are there. They're scattered, and they will not be touched again. They're preserved for history.
Aman, who's your Dynamite game? And don't say it. Don't say the Jets. So what was your score?
22-17.
All right. I got a feeling Aman's going to go with the Jets, and that's just cementing my status as the #1 Jets fan of this show. Whatever.
He's the GOAT. I love him.
All right. Giants at Cowboys.
Oh my God.
17 is not a typo.
Oh my God. Whose game is this?
This is mine.
Oh, thank God. No.
This
is Dynamite game, and usually Dynamite games are reserved between two crappy teams, but that line, I've never seen it in my life.
That is the biggest. I agree. Actually, I was going to say this is the biggest line I can remember seeing, but I didn't know if I had just terrible memory, which I do have. So let's talk about I'm not going to talk much about the Giants. So if you're a Giants fan watching this, consider this like a Dynamite game for you. Dak is playing better. He's getting around with his legs. He's making smart decisions. He picks apart defenses before the snap, and that's what we like to see in him. Pollard has not been the running back we wanted him to be, but fortunately, Dak is playing great. Brandon Cooks hasn't really paid much dividends for them. And I did call out, there's Armand coming in saying Jets versus Raiders is a Dynamite game.
Wow.
So basically, unless the Cowboys forget everything that they are, unless their defense absolutely goes to sleep, and it's not to say it hasn't happened, #week 2 Cardinals, that the Cowboys are absolutely going to stomp. In fact, I actually like them to cover this 17 against Tony DeVito, who they finally let pass the ball. Daniel Jones is out. Darren Waller is out. I should bring up their depth chart because there is one more person that's out. They're just, look, they were unlucky. Brian Dable, and I know you like Brian Dable, but I called
really
this out. I called this out at the start of the year. The coach of the year, particularly first year coach of the year, has a absolute tendency to drop off.
Yeah.
Go and look at the stats. In fact, I'll bring it next week. How many have fallen off?
Yeah.
So I think this is actually think the Cowboys has this. I'm going to predict a shutout here. So I think the Cowboys go 24-0. No, 30-0.
That's flagrant, man. I'm not mad at the prediction even slightly. I think it's gonna be an absolute dog walking. I'll give the Giants a little bit of credit because of Saquon Barkley and Brian Dable, but yeah, I don't think it's gonna be a good game at all. I think Cowboys win this game. I'll say 31. I'll say to 6.
To 6. Okay, so you're giving them 2 field goals. I think that's reasonable and respectful, which I'm not being, but I don't know. It's just, look, I was out on the Giants with Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just can't see.
I'm not mad at it. I don't think your prediction is outlandish at all.
Yeah, I think if I can, and I'll let us move on. But the Giants are 32 in pass coverage against the Cowboys, ranked 4th in pass coverage and a 5th ranked passing attack. I think the Cowboys are going to tear them apart. Yeah. And then both their run and pass rush defense. So run and pass defense are ranked 7th against basically bottom of the table Giants. So I think this is going to be. You don't often see games in the NFL that I think have this level of disparity.
It's so bad. It's so freaking bad.
All right, I think this is me too.
All right.
So all right, we're coming to your dynamite game of mind, but we'll do it as a normal one. So the Commanders have sold shop. So young and sweaty, whatever you want to call them, they've gone. But Gino's going to have time to cook, even though they've still got Daron Payne. I think Gino, when you give him time in the pocket, he generally has, he generally makes a couple terrible mistakes, and he generally makes a couple of beautiful, like, best throws for the week. He's just really weird like that. He's like either end of the spectrum, but he does it in every game. He's had 6 turnovers in the past 4 games. That's kind of characteristic of him. But speaking of characteristic, Sam Howell has been sacked 44 times. That's another not typo, 44 times. The next worst in the league is Zach Wilson at 31.
That's crazy.
That's 25% less. What is
a huge difference?
Get rid of the ball, my man. And and you know what? And to that, like, look, sack is a quarterback stat, but like, Ron Rivera, you're playing for your job, mate. Get him an offense where he gets the ball that quick, because he's holding it for too long. He's trying to make these massive throws. Seattle's in the division race here, which is you wouldn't have expected to be the case. I think they take care of business here, even though Metcalf didn't practice. It's probably one to keep an eye on. He's got a hip injury, and hip injuries can be a bit tricky.
They're a little pesky.
Yeah, especially for like someone like an explosive receiver like Metcalf. You need to be able to turn and pivot on a dime's notice, and a hip injury can stop that. So I think the Seahawks roll here. I will say 25 to. Let's say 25 to 24. I think it's gonna be a close game.
I absolutely love it, man. I think I'll go with Seahawks a little more decisively than you. I do think the Seahawks are looking a little bit like the Sea Frauds. They've been kind of mid this year.
You're full of puns today. You're so many puns.
I'm sending them, man. Full send. Right. I still think they're gonna.
The kids say it, so I can say it too.
I do think they're gonna take care of business in this game, but I don't think it's gonna be as pretty as we want it to be. I'm gonna say the Seahawks pull this one out. I'll say 28-23.
28-23. Alrighty. And absolutely true to Catalina. If we could have dynamited game, the Panthers versus Bears, we
made that the Thursday Night Football recap because that's how bad it was.
It's terrible.
Yep.
Alrighty. Here's my last game. Have I had 3 in a row now?
I think you might have, but I don't mind. I'm enjoying listening to you talk.
Well, guess what we're finishing up on? It's your boys. So
let's go.
Let's get through this one. So Raiders and Jets. This is a hard game to watch. It's a pick'em game. So they're both. That's because they're equally bad. Antonio Pierce comes in. They get that bump that people get when a new coach takes over in the middle of the season. Doesn't often last. They really leaned on Josh Jacobs last week, and that's good because that's what you should be doing. Although I don't think Josh Jacobs is going to be eating the way he did against the Jets' run defense. Has this, and when people say the NFL is scripted, has this for a storyline for you. the Raiders' halftime lead last week was the biggest lead they've had since 2010. In 2010, when they had a bigger lead, guess who they were playing? Broncos
Jets?
coach by Josh McDaniels.
Oh wow,
like,
that's funny.
like I could not make that up.
Just the bullying.
The Raiders just seem like they're better without him. There's just a lot of celebration going on, and Antonio
100%.
Pierce seems like an awesome coach.
Yeah, he does.
They admitted that they should have probably given Rich Bisaccia that job, and he deserved it. But it is what it is.
Yep.
The Jets look disgusting as they've always looked on offense. Their D, as always, is looking great, but it's just not enough to carry Zach Wilson. I'm still going to pick the Jets to win here because I just like the idea of them staying in the mix for an Aaron Rodgers return.
Yeah.
And if Salah can bring Jets just back to mediocrity on offense, like you don't have to have a high flying, just bring them to mediocrity, get them in the mix.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers will return, and that will be a made-for-TV movie waiting to happen. So
What's your score prediction?
14-17, ugly game.
So we do have fans of each team in the chat. We have Armand, who is a Jets fan. We have Takeo, who is a Raiders fan. Takeo wants the Raiders to lose, and Armand is convinced the Jets will lose. So this is it's almost like a toilet bowl, but both teams are like slightly above the worst team. Like they're in that mediocre tier. They're not quite it's not quite toilet status. I want to pick the Jets with every fiber of my being. I really like their defense. It's one of the most special defenses in the league. PK Martini, Pops is giving a shout out to the Jets defense, and rightfully so. The D line is great. The linebackers are great. The secondary is great. They really don't have a weakness, but they can only do so much when trying to mask the liability that is Zach Wilson on offense. And last week they weren't able to do it. Antonio Pierce is going to have the Raiders fired up. I'm actually a little bit surprised it's only a 0.5-point line, based on how absolutely atrocious the Jets looked last week in prime time. I'm going to go with Raiders to win this game, and I'm going to say that they're going to win this game 26 to, I will say, 18.
And I'm going to amend my score to 17-10, still the Jets way.
Sure.
Alrighty. Bring us home, baby.
The last one, Broncos at Bills. My Bills Mafia, 7.5-point home favorites on Monday Night Football against the Broncos. Let's ride. Over under 47 total points. Personally, I think you can take the Bills and take the Bills to cover in this one. I haven't seen anything from the Broncos at all that makes me think that they can hang with the Bills. I think the Bills still have the roster of an elite NFL team, have the talent of an elite NFL team, have been executing 80% of the time like an elite NFL team. Adrian pointed out earlier, untimely mistakes and some horrendous luck have kept my Bills down this year, but I don't think that's going to continue this week. I think it's going to be, personally, I don't want to get cocky. I don't like feeling cocky, but I think it's the kind of game I can take a deep breath in at halftime. I think it's the kind of game I can, hang out and order a pizza and put my feet up and scroll Twitter and make fun of the Broncos in the second half. I hate being cocky. I don't like it. But I'm an analyst and I'm not going to.
It suits you so well.
I'm not. Thank you. I'm not going to turn down my instincts. I genuinely believe the Bills will win this game decidedly. I will say the Bills will take care of business, have an offensive outburst. Weird to imagine that this season, but I think it's going to happen. I'll say Buffalo wins this game 41 to, I will say 24.
24 to 41. I love that score. Bills, for all the talk, Bills second ranked pass attack in the league. Like, you can say what you want about it sometimes, and sometimes the stats don't tell the whole story, because obviously a couple of mistakes can kill you. That doesn't impact your overall stats. But I think the Bills absolutely match up great here. The Denver Broncos run defense and pass defense has been pretty atrocious, but particularly defense, where the Bills need a little bit of a bump. They need a little bit of love. So
yeah,
I think the Bills, the defense is going to absolutely put the clamps on Russell Wilson. And look, Russell Wilson's been looking better. He's scrambling like the old Russell Wilson, but he's not the old Russell Wilson. So
yeah,
I think this is going to be a huge sack game for the Bills.
Me too.
And I'm going to say it's going to be an offensive outshowing as well. But I'll say 36. I'll say 36 to 20. No, yeah, 20. 36 to 20.
36 to 20. I like it, man. Yeah, we both have them winning around 16, 17 points. If the Bills lose this game, the season's never over until it's over, but the season's over. I'll
be doing this show solo next week.
Yeah, being 5-5 at this point in the season with the schedule that they've had and the schedule that they have coming up, it would be not something that would be palatable by myself and by other Bills fans. Bills win this game. They have another game around the bend against Armand's Jets. I can't wait for that. Bills win this game and that game. They're 7-4, and they're right where we all thought they were going to be. To Cato, giving a shout out to Russ being on the juice and bringing back the danger, which, whoa, that is dangerous.
Saucy.
He is the worst. But he's entertaining as hell. Adrian, this has been the Legit Football NFL podcast.
51 minutes? What are we doing?
We are animals today, bro. We were focused. We were dedicated. We had our takes locked and loaded, ready to go. The chat got really picked up towards the end of the show. You have no idea how much we love and appreciate you, Armand, Cato, and Pops. You guys are the backbone of the show. You guys do what you do so we can do what we do, and we appreciate you very much for that.
Absolutely.
Adrian, anything you want to say to the people before we drive this bus home?
Nothing, man. It's just, as always, it's been a pleasure. You guys are awesome. Like and share, please, as always. And I promise you next week I'll be more prepped. It's been a weird week for me, guys.
You're great, man. Please don't sweat it at all, bro. You've done a phenomenal job.
I appreciate you and the fans and people listening. So, but I want to send some love. You know what? It's nice.
Hell yeah. Hey, and we're sending love back to you, man. Me, Cato, Armand, the listeners, we're all rooting for you to get through the house BS that you're going through right now. Freaking Australians, man.
Tell me about it. I'll just move. Why don't I just move to America?
Please. Hey, I got an extra room in my flat, mate.
Next show in person.
Come crash on the Bobby.
Love it.
Yo, so a great show. Cannot wait to see what happens in the NFL this week. Whatever you do, just make sure you think of us and maybe tweet us if anything crazy happens or we predicted anything right or all that fun stuff. I do think we should get the Twitter community of this group going a little bit more. I think it would be really fun. Adrian and I have been sending back some really fun tweets lately. Adrian Ravito heavily recommended the acquisition of Roswell Douglas for the Bills. Heavy fan of that move for the Bills.
Big advocate.
Absolutely. Big advocate. So we appreciate you all. To Cato, sending his love to Jimmy and Adrian. None for me. It's fine. I'm used to it. Ladies and gentlemen, Adrian, you got the ending music ready?
Oh, I'm always covered.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Legit Football NFL podcast, and we are out.